Hello, I'm Jody Wolfe, and you're watching Expoz on November 30, 2019. It's 12:54 a.m. Birmingham. And topic, just watching the things that's going on in our country with what they're trying to do to our president, Trump, and the very same thing they are doing to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Guys, it's identical. I mean, it's they've got the same playbook. It's identical. And why would it be that it's happening side by side in our day? To me, it means one thing. It means the book of Daniel that talks about the 70th week is about to begin, meaning we're about to clear out of here. The time of the Gentiles is coming to an end. And at the same time, the time for the Jews are being prepared, because in Romans 1, verse 13, I don't want you to be unaware, brothers and sisters, that I planned many times to come to you, but you have prevented me from doing so until now, in order that I might have a harvest among you, just as I have had among Gentiles. God's speaking up. He's doing things and trying to make them aware of what he has already told them in advance. And this is speaking in part to the Gentiles, but mainly, I believe, to the Jews. Is when you go to Mark 13, verse 23, and then you look at Matthew 24 and 24, it's the same thing. But the New International Version, the New Living Translation, the English Standard Version, and the Berean Study. So be on your guard. I have told you everything ahead of time. This is about his coming. Watch out. I have warned you about this time, or about this ahead of time. And be on guard. I've told you these things beforehand. So be on guard. I have told you everything in advance, but you take heed. I have foretold you all things. And that is pointing at the abomination of desolation. For false Christ and false prophets will appear and perform signs and wonders that will deceive even the very elect, if it were possible. So be on guard. I have told you these things in advance. But in those days after that tribulation, and then it goes into the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give her light. But look at Matthew 24, 25. See, I have told you in advance. And then Matthew 24, 24. Even the very elect would be deceived if it were possible, but God's not going to let it be possible. He's not going to let his people, after being warned so many times, get caught up and believe. He's out in the wilderness. Go there. Jesus said, don't go there. He's up in the room, and they're talking about the temple. He's up in the room. Go there to meet him. Jesus says, don't go there. What Jesus is saying, he said, I'm going to come to you where you are. And the fact that it's all happening to us, our crooked government, I mean, really, it's gotten very bad. And then it's happening the same way in Israel. I think God put Donald Trump in, and I think Donald Trump will stay in until God takes him out or until the rapture of the church. And I think God put Benjamin Netanyahu in because once again, and got this news on the 29th, that he is still the prime minister of Israel. You hear from one group, and this is the liberal, that most of the people don't want him, but that's wrong. The people, the majority of the people, the citizens in Israel, for multiple reasons, wants Netanyahu to remain where he is. They trust him. He's saying the right things. The only other alternative would be to have Arabs to have a say-so against the nation of Israel or in the nation of Israel so that they'll have to kind of obey their rules as well. And that's what they are. They're imposing rules on them that's just going to tick everybody off. But again, false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform signs and wonders and that would deceive even the very elect if that were possible. He said, but it's not going to be possible because I'm not going to let it. I've dealt with the Gentiles. They're okay, and meaning we're about to leave. Now it's time. Daniel's 70th week is here. It's time to deal with my people. And I want you to understand, watch out. You know it's coming because I warned you ahead of time. Guys, we are there. We are there. And that, just the fact that watch out, because I warned you. In other words, you have no excuse of being ignorant of what I've already told you. Like I said on a past blog when I was on the police department, I remember a judge, one thing he said that always stuck with me, and I loved it. And he would always question the defendant, depending on what it was that the defendant was, the charges were brought up for or on. But he asked one guy one day, he said, you know, the speed limit's 30. Yes, sir. And you know you're going 50. And the guy said, I wasn't going 50. He said, I was going about 40. And he said, well, 40, you just admitted to speeding. He said, but I didn't know that I was speeding. And then he said, ignorance of the law is not a defense. So ignorance of what you've already been told by Almighty God, you can't use that as a defense that you didn't get it. The same as ignorance of the law has no excuse. There's no defense for you there. You knew beforehand. 30 is what it says, and you're doing 40. And then God tells you, and Jesus tells you all these things. I want you to take heed. I want you to be warned of what's coming. I'm dealing with the Gentiles. The minute that I'm dealing with them and done with, then I'm going to come to you, my people, the Jews. And we're going to work it out. We're going to get you out of here. And that's the plan that God has. That's his plan. And he just keeps telling them today. I mean, we know Daniel final week has to come, the 70th week, and we know, well, here we are. We're about to enter the 70th week of Daniel, and he's telling the Jews so many ways. I've told you what to expect. You're seeing it today. And I told you to be on the lookout for it. You have no excuse for not being ready for it. And Guys, this is playing out in Israel, and I think the very fact that it's playing out in Israel against Benjamin Netanyahu, against all people there, telling us one thing. Look, this show is about to go on the road. The stage is set and the curtain's about to go up. Gentiles, you guys are done. You're set. Those of you that's going to come home, fixing to go home. Those of you who are not, well, you got a long, bumpy, hard road ahead of you. But we're being warned, and we're being told that ignorance is not an excuse, because you have been warned and pre-warned over and over and over. So that time is here, right now, today. Please be ready. Jody, Wolfe, Expoz.